When you migrate your Angular project to the new major version, it is very likely that you will encounter a lot of different warnings and errors. For example, you might encounter the one caused by the peer dependencies mismatching. I bet many of you tried to solve this issue by using the force flag. However, this is not the best solution, and I'm pretty sure that you feel that too. In this video, I will show you better solution for this particular issue with peer dependencies, and additionally, you will learn where to find and how to use the interactive Angular update guide, and we will dive in depth into how Angular CLI resolves dependencies for your project during the update and how it executes migrations and many other cool stuff. So continue watching and let's get started. First of all, let's quickly summarize why it even makes sense to bother with application updates and invest time into regular migrations. It is not just about getting fancy and shiny features and bug fixes. New versions often bring real performance improvements, for example, faster build, faster runtime, or sometimes even smaller bundles. Upgrading also improves the developer experience thanks to better tooling, stronger types, better profiling, etc. etc. And of course, there is the security aspect. Updated libraries come with the latest security patches and hardening improvements. Now that we know why upgrades matter, let's see where you should start. So, what would be the best starting point for your migration? I recommend beginning with the official interactive migration guide in the Angular documentation. To find it, go to the references section and look for the update guide link. There, you simply select the version you are migrating from and the version you are targeting. For example, the project I'm upgrading is currently on Angular version 14 and I want to move it to Angular 15. Angular CLI strongly encourages the incremental migration, so that's why it doesn't allow skipping multiple major versions. So upgrading step by step is the best and safest approach. So once you choose the versions, Angular generates a step-by-step checklist you can follow to migrate your application safely and avoid missing anything important. By default, the checklist shows only basics, which might be enough for small projects, but for big and complex applications, it might be not enough. But you can use the tabs here above to reveal additional details and recommendations for more complex Angular upgrade path. The next step would be properly follow the generated list here and take certain actions if it is needed and applicable to your application. So let's say I checked that I use the correct TypeScript and Node.js version, and the next step would be running this Angular CLI command to update packages. And this is actually where many developers are getting stuck. And my recommendation here would be not to rely on this particular command, but instead you can go to your application and run in the terminal ng update command without any arguments. It will analyze your project and suggest a more accurate list of packages that should be added to the update in your particular case. And as you can see, the guide didn't suggest the Angular SDK package, which I currently use in my project. However, the ng update command could successfully pick it up. And also, you don't need to run these commands separately as it is suggested right now. Instead, you can list all packages in one command and then just hit enter to proceed. Sometimes everything goes smoothly, but in real applications, your migration will likely fail due to many different reasons. But very often it happens because of incompatible peer dependencies, as it happens in my case. But before jumping straight to the fix, let's clarify what a peer dependency is and what this error message actually means. So, peer dependencies are packages that library consumer, means you, must install into the host application to make library properly working. In my case, Angular Builder's jest library declares a peer dependency on Angular DevKit build Angular package, and it expects a version in the version 14 range. However, the ng update command will bump its version to version 15, which makes it incompatible with the jest builder of version 14. This is exactly the point where many developers start to experiment with the force flag usage, which lets the migration continue despite the peer dependency mismatch. I would strongly discourage you to do that until you really understand what you are doing, or if it is just a temporary solution, or you simply don't have any other choice. So instead of using the force flag, try to add this conflicting library to the list of packages for the Angular CLI update command, and make sure that you define here a version that is compatible with the Angular version that you are migrating to. And this is basically it. So if you run this command right now, after some time, you can see that everything was successfully migrated. Feels like a magic, but let's try to figure out how this magic works. So Angular CLI performs migration in two phases. During the first phase, it resolves, updates, and installs certain NPM packages in your application. Once the first phase is completed, Angular CLI executes a group of migration scripts that might modify some of your source code files and configurations to automatically handle breaking changes and apply other improvements and cleanups so that you don't have to do it manually. For example, in my case, these migration scripts updated the tsconfig file and removed a couple of files that are no longer needed in the new version. Now, let's focus on the first phase in detail. But before, let me quickly bring our project back to the previous state by reverting the modified files and installing the npm dependencies again. All right, so here we go. And my explanation, I would like to start by showing you the following thing. Let's try to run ng update command, but this time only for the Angular Builder's jest library. And let's see what will happen. Surprisingly, you can see that despite running the update only for the Angular jest builder library, it also updated Angular Core and many other related libraries except for Angular CLI and Angular SDK. So how Angular CLI decide which packages should be updated and to which version? The trick is that when you run ng update for package, the first thing it does, it go to the npm registry and fetch the package.json of the library for the target version. So in my case, it fetches exactly the file located in my node modules, then Angular builders jest, and here it is. Then it looks at the package's peer dependencies and include those packages along with their required versions in the update list as well. After that, it recursively does the same thing for every peer dependency in this list and for peer dependency of the peer dependency and so on. For example, it fetches the package.json file for the Angular DevKit build Angular package, and then it scans its peer dependencies and includes them in the final update list if they are required, because peer dependencies might be optional, and if yes, it includes this dependency into the final update list. Otherwise, Angular CLI just skips this dependency. And this process continues until the entire dependency update list is built. And that's why, although I was upgrading only the Angular Builders Jest library, Angular CLI upgraded a bunch of Angular packages as well. After seeing this, you might want to investigate other packages as well. For example, you could check, let's say, Angular core package, and if you go to its package.json file, you will see that it doesn't have many pure dependencies. Actually, it has only RxJS and Zone.js library as a pure dependency here. And here's the question, like, why does Angular CLI know that other Angular packages like Angular Forms, Animations, Angular Common, and many others, why they should be updated as well? Well, the reason is another key inside the package.json that Angular CLI actually looks for. And this key is actually the package group field that is located under the ng update. And this group tells Angular CLI that when updating this current package, it should also update all other packages listed in this group as long as they are present in the final application. And this ensures that the main Angular package versions always remain aligned and compatible. And as I mentioned earlier, once Angular CLI resolves and installs all npm dependencies, it runs the migration scripts as the second phase of the migration. These migrations are also defined by the library authors, and they are declared in the dedicated key under ng update. And they point to the schematics migration JSON file in this particular case. So if we go there inside, we can see that this file contains metadata about each migration schematic, and it contains also the factory field that points to the Node.js script that already modifies our source files and configurations. I'm not going to dive into Angular schematics because I covered this topic in a dedicated separate video where I'm showing how to create a custom Angular schematic scripts. And if you need guidance about this topic, you can check this video out and find more information about it in that video. And by the way, this ng update, as well as migrations and package group configurations, it is something that also available for library authors. So if you created certain Angular library and you want to improve developer experience for library consumers, you can configure as well migrations and package groups to simplify the migration of your library to the new version. Right after you finished with migration and successfully completed all the migration steps, you might be curious where to look for new features. And my source of truth, this is where I discover new features that eventually share with you on my YouTube channel. It is a Angular changelog on GitHub. Just go there, find the version you are interested in, and check the list of new features available for every Angular package. And features, they are prefixed with the feat keyword inside the changelog. What I also like to do is to go to the corresponding feature pull request to see their source code and changes to get better understanding about the feature and how it actually works. So those are some tips to simplify your migration. However, the reality is quite different, and migration of a complex enterprise application might be very challenging and time-consuming, but I hope that knowledge from this video will help you to overcome most of them. And by the way, if your team or company needs additional help and guidance with Angular migration or overall help with your Angular apps, feel free to contact me, because time after time I'm open for hands-on activities where I help different teams and companies to improve their Angular applications. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video until the end. Please share this video with your colleagues and friends if you find it useful, and also don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment. Hit like to this video, subscribe if you didn't do it yet, and I wish you a productive week ahead. Stay safe and see you in the next video.